The sun had barely risen when the first cry echoed through the quiet forest. It was faint, so faint that most wouldn't have noticed. But Max did. Max wasn't just any dog. A golden retriever with deep brown eyes and a heart larger than most humans. Max had always had a sense for trouble, a sixth sense for suffering. He belonged to an elderly man named Walter, who lived alone near the edge of the pinewood. Every morning, they would go for a walk together. But today felt different. Walter paused at the porch, holding Max's leash. "Ready, buddy?" he asked. Max didn't wag his tail. He stared into the woods, ears perked, body still. Walter frowned. "Something wrong?" Max gave a low, urgent bark and pulled toward the trees. The leash slipped from Walter's hand, and Max took off. The forest floor was damp with dew, pine needles crunching beneath Max's paws. The sound came again, this time clearer. It wasn't just a cry. It was a scream. Desperate. Young. Hurt. Max reached a small ravine, the morning mist curling like smoke between the trees. There, tangled in a mess of fallen branches and thorny brush, lay a baby deer. Its leg was caught, twisted unnaturally, and blood matted the fur around the wound. The fawn's wide eyes met Max's, filled with terror. Max barked once, loud and sharp. Back at the house, Walter heard it. Something wasn't right. He grabbed his coat, stuffed a first aid kit into his bag, and hurried after Max. In the ravine, Max edged closer to the fawn. Slowly, carefully. The little deer struggled, trying to back away, but the pain made it collapse. Max lay down a few feet away, tail still, head low. He didn't bark again, didn't move, just waited, and waited. Minutes passed. Finally, the fawn stopped trembling. It looked at Max, not with fear now, but with something like hope. Leaves crunched behind them. Walter's voice called out, "Max? Where are you, boy?" Max stood and barked twice. Walter stepped through the brush and stopped cold. Oh no. He dropped to his knees, eyes wide. "Easy now. It's okay, little one." Walter assessed the wound. "It's bad," he muttered. "Might be too late." Max whined and licked the fawn's ear gently. The fawn didn't flinch. Walter shook his head. "We need help. But the truck won't get through here." He stood. "I'll go get the ranger." He took one step and stopped. Max had moved in front of him. The dog stared up at Walter, refusing to budge. "You want to stay?" Walter asked softly. Max sat. Walter gave a half smile. "All right. Stay with her. I'll be back. I promise." As Walter disappeared through the trees, the forest fell silent again. Max lay beside the fawn, warm and still. Hours passed. Sunlight filtered through the trees in patches. The fawn drifted in and out of consciousness. But Max never left. Birds fluttered overhead. Squirrels chattered from branches. A fox slinked nearby but stopped when it saw Max. No predator dared come close. Time moved slowly. Max stayed awake. Finally, footsteps echoed again. "Max, I'm here." Walter's voice rang out, breathless. He wasn't alone. Behind him, the forest ranger carried a blanket and a rescue sling. The ranger knelt by the fawn. "She's lucky you found her," he said, inspecting the leg. "Might save it." As they carefully lifted the fawn, it cried again, soft, frightened. Max barked gently and licked her face. The fawn blinked, calm now. They carried her out together. But before they reached the edge of the woods, Max stopped. He looked back. Behind them, a pair of deer stood in the distance. Watching. Waiting. Walter followed Max's gaze. "Think she'll make it back to them?" Max didn't answer. The section ends there. But the question still hangs in the air. Would she survive? Would she walk again? And why, out of all creatures, did a dog refuse to walk away from a life so different than his own? The answer comes in the next part of this unbelievable rescue journey. The ranger's truck bounced down the old dirt road, every rock and rut shaking the fragile bundle in the back seat. Wrapped in a warm wool blanket, the baby deer whimpered softly. Max sat beside her, unmoving, eyes locked on her tiny face. He didn't blink, didn't wag his tail. He just stayed, present, protective. Walter sat in the front seat, glancing into the rearview mirror every few seconds. "She's hanging in there, buddy," he whispered. "You're doing good." The ranger nodded. "Never seen anything like it. That dog, he's got the soul of a guardian angel." They reached the Wildlife Rehabilitation Center an hour later. As the door opened, a wave of antiseptic and hay drifted out. A young vet named Sarah rushed forward. "Where is she?" "Back seat," the ranger said. broken leg, hypothermia, some blood loss. Sarah leaned in and froze. Is that dog growling? Max let out a low warning rumble as strangers came too close. Walter put a hand on Max's head. Easy, boy. Let them help her. Max's eyes met Walter's. Slowly, the dog stepped aside. The fawn was taken in, gently laid on a table, and examined under bright surgical lights. Sarah worked fast, her hands steady, voice calm. She's lucky. The leg isn't shattered, just fractured. She's small, still growing. She's got a chance. Walter let out a breath. Thank God. Max whined from the door, pawing to come closer. Sarah turned. Let him in. Is that safe? Asked a nurse. Sarah nodded. Look at her. She calms when he's near. Max padded inside and sat right next to the table. The baby deer turned her head slightly. Their eyes met again. The trembling slowed. Her breathing steadied. She trusts him, Sarah said softly. Animals know. For the next week, Max barely left the rehab center. Every morning, Walter would bring him in. Every evening, he'd come back to pick him up. The workers got used to seeing the golden retriever curled up outside the fawn's enclosure. They named the fawn Lily. By day 4, Lily could stand, wobbly, unsure, but she tried. Max would bark encouragement from behind the glass, tail wagging when she took a step. One morning, as snowflakes dusted the earth outside, Walter and Max arrived to find Lily missing. Max barked sharply, eyes darting. Sarah met them with a smile. She's okay. We moved her to the outside pen. Wanted her to feel grass again. They followed her to the larger, fenced clearing where Lily stood, her leg wrapped in soft bandages. She looked up, and the moment she saw Max, she bleated, tail twitching. Max bolted toward the gate and pressed against the fence. Lily hobbled forward, the limp still noticeable, but her eyes lit up. She nuzzled the fence, and Max returned the gesture through the gaps. They've bonded, Walter murmured. It's like they were meant to find each other. That evening, the center staff gathered in the break room. Tomorrow's the day, Sarah said. We'll try to reintroduce her to the wild. Her herd's been spotted nearby. Walter sighed. And Max? Sarah looked unsure. He'll have to say goodbye. But that night something changed. A blizzard rolled in. Unexpected, fast, brutal. Winds howled. Snow piled against the windows. Power flickered. At midnight, the alarm sounded. A tree had fallen across the outer pen. Sarah and the staff rushed outside. The fence was down. Tracks in the snow. No sign of Lily. She ran, someone said. She's gone. Max barked once. Loud. Demanding. And then he ran. Walter shouted. Max. No. Come back. But Max didn't stop. He charged into the storm. The last thing they saw was his golden coat disappearing into the white. Sarah whispered. He went after her. Walter didn't sleep. None of them did. Morning came gray and silent. The forest was frozen. Hope thinned like smoke. But just as the sun broke the horizon, something moved near the treeline. Two shapes. One limping. One leading. Max. And Lily. Soaked. Cold. But alive. The rescue team rushed forward. Walter fell to his knees. You crazy, beautiful boy. Max collapsed beside Lily, his body trembling with exhaustion. They had found each other again, and refused to let go. The bond between them wasn't luck. It was loyalty. And no storm, not even the worst of winter, could break it. But what happens when Lily must leave forever? And what will Max do when goodbye becomes the only choice left? That answer comes in the final chapter of their journey. Weeks passed. Winter began to loosen its icy grip, and signs of early spring peeked through the snow. At the rehab center, Lily grew stronger every day. Her leg healed better than anyone hoped. The limp was still there, but now it was just a memory of what she had survived. Max visited her daily. He'd sit by the fence, watching her graze, nap, and take wobbly little runs under the staff's careful watch. Lily would rush to greet him each time, pressing her face against the mesh like he was the only thing that truly made her feel safe. But everyone knew it couldn't last. One afternoon, Sarah stood with Walter just outside Lily's enclosure. She's ready, Sarah said. Tomorrow we'll take her to the ridge. The herd is nearby. She needs to go back. Walter nodded slowly, resting a hand on Max's back. He's going to take it hard. Sarah glanced at Max and smiled sadly. We all will. That night, Max didn't sleep. He paced the living room, occasionally staring at the front door. Walter watched him from his armchair, heart heavy. "She's going to be okay, boy," he whispered. "You did more than enough." The next morning dawned calm and golden. Birds chirped in the distance. The staff loaded Lily into the trailer gently. She didn't resist, but she looked around, scanning for Max. He wasn't there. Walter had tried. He really had. But Max wouldn't budge. He'd curled up on the porch and refused to follow. As the trailer pulled away, Lily gave a soft cry. Max's head lifted. His ears twitched. Then he ran. Faster than Walter could stop him, Max chased after the trailer. He caught up just as it reached the tree line. Sarah saw him through the mirror and stopped the truck. They opened the back. Lily bleated, excited. Max jumped in. They didn't stop him. At the ridge, the wind danced across the tall grass. The herd was already there, moving slowly through the valley, graceful and alert. The team opened the gate. Lily hesitated for a moment. She looked at Max. He nudged her gently. She stepped out. Slowly, the other deer noticed her. A few turned their heads. One, a large doe with kind, dark eyes, stepped forward. Lily froze. Then the doe touched her nose to Lily's. And just like that, she was accepted. She took a few more steps, glancing back each time. Max stood at the edge of the grass, tail still. She looked one last time. Their eyes met. And then she ran free, strong, alive. Max watched until she vanished into the trees. Walter came and knelt beside him. "You did it, boy. She's where she belongs." Max let out a deep breath and rested his head on Walter's knee. Back home, things were quieter. The visit stopped. The forest felt emptier. But something had changed. Every morning, Max still walked the same trail, stopping at the ravine, sniffing the air, looking toward the ridge. And sometimes, when the wind blew just right, he'd pause. Because for a second, he could swear he heard a soft bleat in the distance. She hadn't forgotten. Neither had he. Some friendships don't need words. Some heroes don't wear capes. And sometimes love means letting go, but never turning away. Max never walked away. Not from her. Not even once. The end.